Hi, everybody. This is our first year's review, Prisoners of Geography, China, New Year's edition. Okay. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you guys have a great Happy New Year. Okay. So, here today, we're going to talk about China. In October 2006, a U.S. naval supercarrier group led by the 1,000-foot USS Kitty Hawk was confidentially sailing through the East China Sea between southern Japan and Taiwan, minding everybody's business. Right? So here we have China, we have China and Hong Kong, and we have Korea and Japan, right? And American vessels, including Kitty Hawk, okay, USS Kitty Hawk. They were sailing through the East China Sea, here, and interfering everybody's business, interfering China, Hong Kong, Korea, Japan. When, without warning, a Chinese Navy submarine surfaced in the middle of the group, while American supercarrier group is sailing in this East China Sea. Chinese submarine, a Chinese submarine surfaced in this American group in the middle of nowhere. So American aircraft carrier of that size is surrounded by about 12 other ships. So American aircraft carrier of that size, you guys remember what does this refers to? This refers to a Kitty Hawk, right? So Kitty Hawk is usually surrounded by about 12 other warships. So Kitty Hawk is surrounded by 12 other small warships, not just one ship, okay? Several ships. Not only the warship, but also with air cover above. So there is airplane flying over to Kitty Hawk in the sky, right? So these airplane, helicopters protecting the Kitty Hawk in the sky, and submarine cover below. Also, not only the airplane, but also American submarine sailing under the ocean, try to detect any kind of an approach from outside. Okay. And the Chinese vessel, a Song-class attack submarine, may well be very quiet when running on electric power. So these Chinese vessel, they run very quiet because they are using a electric power. But still, this was the equivalent to Pepsi Cola's management popping up in the Coca-Cola board meeting after listening under the table half an hour, right? So the surprise that American Navy they were having is equivalent. So equivalent means equal, right? So the surprise that American Navy have find out about Chinese submarine surfacing in the group is equivalent same amount that Coca-Cola's management finding a Pepsi-Cola's management pop up means show up or emerge in their board meeting. Let's say that Coke and Pepsi. You guys know Coke and Pepsi are the rival, right? So let's say that in one place, in one secret place, in a secret board meeting room, Coca-Cola's management are having a secret meeting, like CEO and vice CEO and president and vice president of Coca-Cola is having a secret board meeting, and there is this table, right? And under the table, this Pepsi Cola person, Pepsi Cola's vice principal, maybe vice CEO, is listening to all this important meeting for about a half an hour. And these Coca-Cola management, they don't know. They have no idea who is here under the desk. And suddenly, around like half an hour later, this person pops up the meeting, ta-da, and say, "Oh, gotcha! I was listening to all the secret meeting of you guys." And this Coca-Cola management will be really surprised to find out the rival Pepsi-Cola's management listening all the important meeting. That's how much this American Navy would have when they find out the Chinese submarine is emerging in the middle of their group. So the Americans were amazed and angry in equal measure. So Americans were quite amazed and they become angry and mad at the same time. They were amazed because they had no idea Chinese sub could do without being noticed. So American Navy was quite amazed, quite surprised because they have no idea Chinese submarine could do such a job approaching to American vessel without getting caught, without getting noticed, and they were angry because they hadn't noticed and because they regarded the move as provocative. So American was quite angry because the movement, the emergence of Chinese submarine into American group was quite provoking. They were like picking up for fighting. And especially as the sub was within the torpedo range of Kittiwak itself. And the Chinese submarine has a torpedo, and I guess torpedo is a missile weapon. And the submarine is within the range of the Kitty Hawk. So if Chinese submarine, if they launched a missile, if they had launched a torpedo, maybe USS Kitty Hawk would have been hit without noticing missiles. So America was quite angry. And they protested perhaps too much. And the Chinese said, "Oh, what a coincidence, us surfacing in the middle of your battle group, which is off our coast. We had no idea." So they refer to China. Chinese submarine, they protested. They tried to explain the situation, and they said, "Oh, it was a coincidence. We had no idea that our submarine is approaching near to your navy groups, and while you guys are sailing off our coast, you guys are sailing in Chinese Ocean, and we have no idea that we are approaching your navy group." So Chinese were being sarcastic. They intentionally approached this U.S. naval group to send a signal, but they explained there was a coincidence and they have no idea. So, no, this was 21st century reverse gunboat diplomacy, whereas the British used to heave a man of war off the coast of some minor power to signal intent. The Chinese hove into view off their own coast with a clear message: "We're now a maritime power. This is our time, and this is our sea." So here, what Chinese is doing is they are using a reverse gunboat diplomacy. In order to understand the reverse gunboat diplomacy, you need to understand gunboat diplomacy first. So gunboat diplomacy is used by European power, such as like Britain or Spain or Portugal. When these European power, when they have a negotiation with some minor power, when they want to have a negotiation with some small, relatively weak foreign country, what they do is they are using their power. Okay, they bring their gunship, right, nearby to this small foreign government, and they show the enormous power of the gunships to this small government, right, off the coast of this country. And these minor powers, they have no choice but to agree with this Britain or European powers because they don't have such a great military navy powers like this gunship. So this is the gunboat diplomacy, using their power to have a negotiation with some minor power. So as you guys remember, like Joseon Dynasty, at the end of Joseon Dynasty, 1880, 1890, we had similar situation. Britain and America, they brought their gunboat nearby to Ganghwa Island, and they try to have a negotiation with the Joseon Dynasty. And we have no choice but to have a negotiation with these countries, right? So that's gunboat diplomacy. And now China is using reverse gunboat diplomacy. Gunboat diplomacy is sending your ships to a foreign place, foreign area, foreign ocean. China is sending out their submarine to their own ocean. That's why it is called a reverse, opposite gunboat diplomacy. China is sending out its submarine to its own ocean and sending a clear message. We are now a maritime power. So you guys remember what does maritime mean? We are now a oceanic power. Oceanic power, and this is our time. 21st century is our time, and this is our sea. So don't come here, okay? We are the power here. They are sending this clear message. It's taken 4,000 years, but the Chinese are coming to a port, no shipping lane near you. So it takes 4,000 years that China become a maritime power, but now China is maritime power and China is coming near your place, near your country. So, oops, I'm sorry. So, until now, China has never been a naval power with a large landmass, multiple borders, and short sea routes to trading partners. It had no need to be. So up until now, China never been a oceanic naval power. They had huge territory, huge land, and they have several different border with different countries, and they have short sea routes so they can have a trade with other foreign countries. So China, they don't really need to be an oceanic power until now, and it was rarely ideologically expensive. China didn't want to really go out of its territory so far. Its merchants have long sailed the ocean to trade goods, but its navy did not seek territory beyond its region. Of course, Chinese merchant, Chinese businessmen, they have sailed a long distance to the ocean for the trading. But Chinese Navy, they didn't really try to seek they didn't try to seek territory beyond its borders. And the difficulty of patrolling the Great Sea Lane of the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Ocean was not worth the effort. So China has connected with Pacific area, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, but these huge oceans not really not valuable, not worthwhile to effort managing this area. So China more focused on the land, not on the ocean. But now China is oceanic power. So it's always a land power with a lot of land, with a lot of people. Now, nearly 1.4 billion, China was a land power, but seems it's changed. So the concept of China as an inhabited entity began almost 4,000 years ago. So, like the concept of China began 4,000 years ago as an inhabited entity. I guess inhabited entity maybe like civilization. Chinese civilization began about like 4,000 years ago. And the birthplace of Chinese civilization is the region known as the North China Plain. So North China Plain is the beginning, the birthplace of Chinese civilization, which Chinese refer to the Central Plain. So foreign people call the area as the North China Sea. Chinese people call it as the same Central Plain, as the Central Plain. So same place and different name. And the Central Plain is a large, low-lying tract of nearly 160,000 square miles situated below Inner Mongolia and south of Manchuria and in and around the Yellow River basin and down past the Yangtze River, which both run east to west. So the Central Plain is connected to Mongolia, Manchuria, and it has Yellow River, Yangtze River, to which runs from east to west. It's now one of the most densely populated area in the world. Okay, so here, can you see the map here? maybe this is around here is a central plain, okay, North China plain. So it's connected to a little bit of Mongolia, and it's connected to the south of Manchuria here, Manchuria, and it has a Yellow River which runs from east to west. Yellow River runs right here, and it has Yangtze River east to west. Okay, runs through, and this area is a central plain, center birthplace of Chinese civilization. And the Yellow River basin is subject to frequent and devastating flood. So Yellow River is really important for Chinese development. But thing is, it flood so frequently, so often times. Okay, so earning the river in an unenviable sobriquet of scourge of the sons of Han. So Yellow River has the sobriquet. Sobriquet means the nickname. Nickname and scourge means disaster. So Yellow River has the nickname of a disaster of sons of Han. So this industrialization of the region began in earnest in 1950s and has been rapidly accelerating in the last 3 decades. So from 1950, China really rapidly began industrialization, and for last 30 years, China accelerated its development and its industrialization. And the terribly polluted river is now so clogged with toxic waste it sometimes struggles with to reach the sea. So the yellow river is clogged. It's stuffed. You know? So while industrializing the country, China threw out toxic waste to Yellow River. So Yellow River is stuffed with waste, and sometimes it has a difficulty. Sometimes Yellow River has difficult time going to the sea because of this too much waste in the river. Nevertheless, the Yellow River is to China what the Nile is to Egypt. So, nevertheless, the Yellow River is toxicated, it is clogged, but still, Yellow River is very important to China, development of China. Just like the Nile River is very important to Egypt for Egyptian development. So the Yellow River is the cradle of its civilization, where its people learn to farm, to make paper and gunpowder. So the Yellow River is the cradle, is the birthplace, beginning of Chinese civilization, where people learn how to farm, how to make a paper, and how to make a gunpowder. So to the north, this proto-China were a harsh land of the Gobi Desert in what is now Mongolia. So to the north, there is a Gobi Desert, and to the west, the land gradually raises until it becomes a Tibetan Plateau and reaching to the Himalayas. And to the southeast and south lies the sea. Okay, so here to north of your Chinese central plain, you have a Gobi Desert. Around here, Gobi Desert, in other words, it's called as a Mongolia, Inner Mongolia, Gobi Desert. And if you move down to a little bit west area, you have a Tibetan Plateau here. Okay, you have a Tibetan Plateau which has a little green side and connected to Himalayas. And you move down to south, you have ocean. You have Indian Ocean, you have South China Sea, and Yellow Sea and Pacific area in this side. Okay. So this is what this part explains. And the heartland, as North China Sea plain is known, was and is a large fertile plain with two main rivers. So the heartland, important area, right? Chinese important area is the North China plain, and it's very large and fertile plain, and has two main rivers, Yellow and Yangtze, and the climate is very nice. Climate that allow the rice and soybean to be harvested twice a season, double cropping. So the climate in the Central Plain is so great. You can grow rice and soybean twice a year, double cropping. Now in South Korea, we can only grow rice one time a year, but China they can grow twice. So they have a lot of food, which encourages rapid population growth. And because of much food, population increased really rapidly. And by 1500 BC in this heartland, out of the hundreds of mini states, many warring with each other. So in the Central Plain, they had small countries by 1500 BC. And many of these small countries had a war against each other, fight against each other, emerged the earliest version of Chinese state. And while they were fighting, the early version of China country emerged, established, which is the Shang Dynasty. And this is where what became known as the Han people emerged, protecting the heartland and creating a buffer zone around them. So this Shang Dynasty is where the Han people emerged from Shang Dynasty, and Han people protect important area, and they became a buffer zone around several different race and several different area. Okay. So this wraps up our exam unit. Okay. So thank you for listening. And again, I hope you guys have a good luck with your exam. And I hope everyone have to have a great Happy New Year. Okay. Happy New Year. Thank you. Bye.